Hello and welcome to the home of the Ghost Owl as we move to part 2 of the magic items for the Empire of Man, part of our faction focus series for Warhammer the Old World. So let's see what is left for the Empire's magic items. So we're on to magic standards now. So they have the Imperial Banner. All friendly units in command range of the model carrying the banner roll 3d6 when making a fear, terror or panic test, and then they discard the highest result. The banner's got its uses. Basic leadership across the army is not great. Most of the main units will have a character in them, however, such as priest, captains, general. And so personally, I don't think this has as much value for the points cost as it may first appear. You look at the army and go, there's lots of low leadership, and then you go, yep, this one's got a priest and a wizard and an engineer or a captain or whatever in it. So you might not get as much benefit as you first think from this banner. Then you've got the Griffin standard, so when determining the combat result, extra ranks claim a +2 bonus instead of a +1. While expensive and therefore limited to certain units or a battle standard bearer, this is a great banner for an elite unit or even a large cavalry unit just to get that extra bonus. But you need to make sure you've got the ranks to make the most of it. But it could be a good banner to take, and I think something like, I say, a unit of great swords, for example, could really benefit. The Gleaming Pennant there, a single use magic standard, not the best. You re-roll a failed leadership test, and that doesn't include break tests. So it's a cheap banner, but to be honest, I think the points are better spent elsewhere. A single-use banner to re-roll a leadership test, and it doesn't include break tests. Yeah, I think there are better options out there. Banner of Duty. You may re-roll any failed rally test. So overall, I prefer this to the Gleaming Pennant. It's 5 points cheaper, and it could have value on a unit such as a state troops or something that's fleeing away, and then you want to rally them and you really need them back in the battle. This could be key to re-roll some bad luck you might be having with the dice. So overall, I think the Banner of Duty is a better option than the Gleaming Pennant. Enchanted items, 3 of those. We've got the Laurels of Victory. So each unsaved wound caused by the bearer is worth 2 combat result points. So it's a pricey magic item. It's best used on a character that's got quite a few attacks, and would work well paired with any other item that will increase number of attacks. So there are some of those in the main rulebook. But if you think of maybe something like this on a Grand Master, for example, where units of knights don't tend to be as big in terms of bodies and ranks and so on. So gaining those bonus combat result points could be really nice, and he's got plenty of attacks. So could be an interesting item for something like, say, like a Grandmaster. The Silver Horn. So only characters with a Swift Stride rule can take this. They and any unit they join may re-roll the d6 when using the Swift Stride rule. I really like this cheap item for cavalry, especially knights. Increase the chance of making those longer charges, and that's where heavy cavalry lancers do best. So it's not a terrible item at all. Again, it just comes down to, like I say, Grandmaster or even something like a Preceptor or something could get benefit from magic item. It's just thinking about how many points you spend on magic items in your army list. And then you've got Shroud of Iron. So the bearer and any unit they have joined gains a 6+ ward save against wounds caused by a non-magical template. So this is a very cheap magic item, and at the same time it's very situational. You've got to play against an army that has a war machine because it's a non-magical template, and also being in the unit that's targeted by the war machine. So you've got to make sure the enemy army has a war machine, and you've got to be in a unit that's targeted by the war machine. Maybe in a Death Star style unit where you've got a very expensive unit with lots of characters in, that's absolutely going to be the primary target of any artillery fire. This would have value, but overall, situational at best, I think. So then the last set of magic items for the Empire are the arcane items for those all-important wizards. So you've got the Book of Ashur, which increases Dispel range by 3, and you get +1 to casting and Dispel roll, unless rolling a natural double. So it's got some good benefits, but it is quite expensive, and you've got the RNG nature that the primary benefit is the +1 to cast and Dispel. But if you roll a double on your dice, you're not going to get that benefit. So I think that's a bit RNG for the points cost of the item. Now, Wizard's Familiar, 0 to 1 per wizard. It's got +1 modifier to Dispel rolls, though that doesn't negate a natural double one. This is a decent magic item. It's not the cheapest, but it can really help get the best from lower level supporting wizards. And though there's definitely competition from the main rulebooks and things such as Dispel Scrolls, it's not a bad choice. Then you got the Wizard's Staff. So this is a +1 modifier to casting roll for magic missile and assailment spells. So to be honest, you need careful planning because randomly determined spells could leave you without the benefit, right? So you're going to need to make sure you take a Law of Magic that's got a magic missile or assailment spell as its signature spell, so you can always make sure that you've got the spell you need to pair it with the staff. So some careful planning, but a +1 to cast is a +1 to cast. I think it just depends on what you're trying to get from your wizard. So something to consider, maybe something like Dark Magic would work well with that signature spell being a magic missile. So yeah, an interesting one. I think they're just some really good basic options though in the main rulebook with your Dispel Scroll, Power Scroll, that sort of thing. So it's an okay selection here. I think the Wizard's Familiar probably being the best one that's on this list. And there you go. That brings us to the end of the magic items for the Empire of Man. We've got some comparison things to look at in terms of characters, infantry, and so on, and then some sample army lists and missing units to round things off. Hope you've enjoyed this video though. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Let me know why in the comments down below. And as always, if you want to see more content, hit that subscribe button. It's totally free for you to do. It's a big deal for me, so thank you for that in advance. You've been watching The Ghost Owl. Tune back in as we take a look at a comparison of all the characters in the Empire army list.